Welcome to Power On Weekly, hosted by your boy, Irving Legend, and your girl,
Aly.
Aly?
What?
No Aly Mayhem?
Aly.
You're Aly. Okay.
Aly.
Welcome back, everybody, to Power On Weekly for the week of August 25th through the 30th. I think that's right. And episode 11. I haven't been saying the episodes in the past couple of ones, but episode 11. That's kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. This week we have a couple things to talk about. We're going to talk about what is going on with the consoles. Where are they? Where are the prices and all that fun stuff? And
what the heck is happening?
Yeah, what is going on? And we're also having another special guest who will be joining us later on the show. So let's start out by, you wanted to actually say a little shout out, right?
A little shout out.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about the whole Apple and not Microsoft, the Apple and Epic thing. And then Matt Pat from Game Theory this week kind of released a video that I think really puts into perspective and words way better than we were able to articulate what this really could lead to and what this really means.
Yeah.
So I just really wanted to shout that out. So like, if that was a topic that you ended up finding really, really interesting, I'm going to link his video below because I just think he really sums up how much bigger this is than it looks like on the surface level. And I just wanted to give that shout out if that was, like I said, something that interested you last week. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he pretty much hit what we talked about on a surface level, but then he also
expanded a lot.
Yeah,
and understands what's going on even on an even deeper level than we do. So
yeah,
it was a very interesting video. And like I said, I just think it's really worth a watch.
Yeah. Like we said that there was more to this that we can't really figure out, and he figured it out for us, kind
Absolutely.
of.
So that's great.
Yeah, go check that out. Game Theory, we'll put it on there. Not like he needs any more support than anybody. Anyways,
no,
yeah.
But link below because I feel like it really adds value to the conversation we previously had. And like I said, it's not even worth going into again for us because he just really nailed it on the head, and he's going to continue to talk about it. So I think that's a good source to go for that story from now on because he's great. Yeah. His stuff's great. He deserves like all that he has. So
sounds good. All right. Now the topic we have today is, Aly, what the heck is going on with these consoles? We're 2 months away from the launch of these consoles, and we don't know release dates and we don't know prices. Okay. We've got a lot of things to kind of unravel here as we go through, but I want to start off by also, with that being said, Microsoft was supposed to do an event this August. It's pretty much the end of August, and speaking of consoles, we're supposed to announce the Series S, which we kind of know is a real thing because of the controller leak that had happened with the white controller that's been going around, and yeah, that didn't happen. What do you think is going on behind the scenes? Like, why hasn't this been announced, the console's release date or the prices? Because by now we would have known, because a normal E3 would have known by E3.
E3 is where they would usually announce all the details of everything. You'd have a huge head start. I mean, honestly, it just seems like the whole gaming ecosystem is just crumbling around us, if I'm being completely honest. And it's one of two things. This is completely COVID, completely ruining things behind the scenes, and we're not seeing that. Or it's a game of chicken. I mean, or a mix of both.
Maybe.
But honestly, my gut just says the pandemic. My gut says, I know that they have to have most of their console ready. Most of their consoles ready to go, but at the same time, I can't imagine how much fine tuning goes into the end before it goes into production. Maybe there's production issues. Like, maybe they're having a hard time getting things. Like, maybe they were supposed to start production way sooner. That's why they're able to announce things like it's a November release. It's in June. They're already announcing it because they're already sending things into production. So I don't know. But then to have both consoles, would both consoles be having that issue right now? Like, I don't know. What do you think? Because I don't know.
So most of the time, the consoles use kind of the same manufacturers as far as like parts and stuff like that. And it's so they would already have these things already set in place, right? How much they need to charge in order to make kind of a profit. To be honest, every launch of a console, the first 2 years, it's always at a loss, regardless. So it really doesn't matter to a certain extent. But I think with everything going on, I want to say that, yeah, I mean, production might have been affected heavily by this, and we see that with the, when we're going to talk about the way the PlayStation's really unique pre-order campaign is happening. That might also be kind of what's going on there. Um, but yeah, I think it might be a production issue, but it also feels like the longest game of chicken between like the two console makers, as far as like waiting for the one to announce their price so then they can somehow undercut them if they can. But these prices have I feel like they've already been kind of set in stone, like, internally. So I really don't see how they would be able to even, and like them announcing their price would affect the others. Like, there's no way. These are $1 million companies. They already know what they're gonna do. So like, for people to argue with that, like, oh, it's long, like I just said it right now, but the longest game in chicken, like, I don't think it's that. I do think it might be like, as far as, I don't know, it's just weird because, like, I mean, like I said, we're 2 months away and we still don't know the prices of these things, and these games are being announced for it. I mean, later on I'm going to talk about Call of Duty, and that comes out November 13th on Series X and PlayStation 5. So like, it's kind of, we need to know as soon as possible, because these are things that people are going to be spending money on. Like, these aren't just, well, like, good amount of money, these aren't just games that you can just like well, I don't know, like, I wouldn't say like, oh, you can't release date for the games, but I mean, all games are pretty much the same. I don't know where I'm getting at this, but yeah. There have been a couple of leaks going around as far as like retailers having prices, but the way retail works is like, you get a product and most of these things are just placeholders. Okay. So like, for an example, there's a UK retailer that has been kind of throwing, like, they showed Alana Pierce, like, oh, like, this is what I work in, this retail, and this is what the prices are. But the same, and for the price for the Xbox Series X, they said it was like £600, I think, which is like equivalent to like $640 here. But then on the same spreadsheet, they also had a PS5 listed at 0.1 cents or whatever it is. I don't know, in the UK. So that's really odd. It's odd that it's just two completely different spectrums, So I think these are just placeholders, but like, I just wanted to make sure that like everyone gets that kind of cleared out, that these aren't the prices. But at the same time, we're kind of clamoring for prices, and that's why people are getting so excited about like any sort of like leak or any sort of information we can get on them, because we have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, like you said, prices, these consoles have been years in the work, so you should have a good idea of what a console should cost. The price shouldn't be fluctuating because there's a pandemic. What's going to fluctuate is the accessibility of the materials.
The units.
Yeah. Well, and even like the materials to make the units. So maybe they won't be able to release as many units out the gate, but your prices really aren't going to change because you're going wholesale on all your stuff anyways, because you're buying so many parts. It's not like when retailers are low on something. So like, remember, what was it when like the Bitcoin thing was coming out, and what was it that was super expensive? The
graphics cards.
Graphic cards. That was all supply and demand of a product of retailers. That had nothing to do with the base price. So like you said, at the end of the day, this can't be a game of chicken because they already know what they're going to sell it for. They already know what they need to sell it for. And the pandemic wouldn't fluctuate the price at this point. It would fluctuate the amount of units in availability. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense why they're not releasing prices. I can understand them maybe not setting out a solid release date. I get that, because again, like, the world is just in chaos right now. There's no sense of order anymore. Yeah. But you know what? These companies know what they're going to price it at. It doesn't matter what their competitor prices it at. And then at the end of the day, like, consoles are always around the same price, give or take a little bit. It's not like they're going to come out the gate and like, well, we need to sell this at $1,000, but what is Sony going to sell it at? Like, it's going to be somewhere in that $400 to $600 range.
Yeah.
Maybe if something was super expensive at $700, like, you might see a small increase, but I don't know. So I don't I understand maybe, like I said, holding out on a release date. Maybe you're not confident that you're going to hit that, because we've seen even with games. But a price point, I don't understand. I'm completely not understanding the point, because even the games we already know price points for without even having a console. We know most games are going to begin to up because of the production value. We know that we're going to see a rise in games in the next generation on prices. They all have an idea. And think about, like, without even having a console, they know, because again, it goes into, this is how much production it took, this is how much it costs us to do it, this is what we have to sell it at. You would have that same knowledge with a console this far in development. They've got to be in production at this point, right? So you would know how much you need.
Yeah, they have to be in production. I mean, we know for a fact Xbox Series X's are in production, because Cyberpunk on their Instagram or Twitter or something, they posted that they have an Xbox Series X in their office next to their the Xbox the Xbox Cyberpunk one.
Yeah.
So they have to be in production. I don't understand why.
I don't get it either.
And the main thing is the Series S. Where the heck is it? We know it's real. Like, you can't just like
for that. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't get announced, if it isn't a release right off the bat, like it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? Maybe that is going to end up being pushed to next year.
Yeah.
That's why I would say maybe that hasn't been announced yet. Because think about how fast, especially Microsoft, was really pushing out information. It wasn't a lot of information, but starting in December at the Game Awards, right? Yeah. They were like, here's our console. It's real. And it's like, man, a slow push until the pandemic happened and people started working at home. And then it seemed like we're going to try to be confident in getting things out the door. And now we're seeing those pushbacks. Halo next year. This next year. This is going to release because it's basically done, but this is going to be delayed. This and that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some things that were never totally finalized on the Series S that maybe it's going to end up just being kind of like Nintendo does, where they release consoles later. I feel like maybe this was supposed to be released at launch with the two, and maybe that's why they're holding off on some of these announcements as well. Maybe they're still really trying to get that done.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I'm getting.
Yeah, like you said, it was very consistent. It was steady. The information was steady, right? It was steady. We just kept getting, stuff after stuff and information. And then, once everything, this summer has really been where everything's been pushed back. Now, PlayStation has announced that they have a pre-order campaign that they're doing. Very unique, very, very interesting. I've never really seen this before. Now, if you go on their website right now for PlayStation 5, they have on there that says there will be a limited quantity of PlayStation 5 consoles available for pre-order. So we will be inviting some of our existing consumers to be one of the first to pre-order one from PlayStation. So as I read that, it sounds like it's just like if you want you want to guarantee that you're going to get a PlayStation and you're going to be able to pre-order it, you're getting it directly from Sony, right? Like, this is the first waves of pre-orders are coming from Sony, and then after that, you might be able to pre-order on Best Buy or Amazon or whatever their third-party retailers are. It continues by saying pre-order reservations will be taken on a first-come, first-serve basis. Once you get an invite via email, we encourage you to follow instructions and act fast. So first come, first serve. If you get it, get in there, get all that stuff. The only thing you have to register with is by signing in with your PSO ID, basically your PlayStation Online ID. In their FAQ too, there's a bit more information. Our selection is based on previous interests and PlayStation activities. So I'm assuming maybe trophies and just how much you play, how much of a hardcore PlayStation fan you are. You can only order one PlayStation 5 console. Either you get a normal or a digital version. You can order 2 DualSense controllers, 2 charge stations, 2 headsets, 2 media remotes, 2 HD cameras. The big thing that I noticed is only US-based addresses are available to be shipped. Non-US-based addresses will be canceled. So this is only for the US. Now, the question has been asked, is this a marketing tactic in order for like, oh, like you may not be able to get a PlayStation, you better act fast because of supply and demand and like because of limited supplies. Are they really that limited, or do you think this is just like, hey, for the hardcore fans, if you want to be first in line, come through here, boom, you got it. What do you think about this?
I think it's possibly a mix of both. I think more than anything, it's not necessarily a marketing thing. I think it's again, with COVID and the possibility that maybe things won't be shipping out as fast. I think it's a little bit of like a buffer for the real fans to get their hands on things. And to be honest, like the more I think about it, I actually like it. If I was a Sony fanboy and I had a Sony and I really, really wanted this, the fact that they're doing this is great, because what it does is it puts the power in the hands of the people who really want the console, not the people just trying to make money off of it. So if you get to pre-order it, you know that it's going to someone who really wants it. They're putting in the kind of the homework to do that. And like what you would hope is they're doing that to kind of help if there is a supply issue, less scalpers, less people just buying and flipping. And it's going into those hands of people who really care about it, you know? And then, I mean, when it comes to the US address things, when I think about it again from that business standpoint, it's not as weird as it sounds. Like Sony has just like Nintendo, an American division, a Japanese division, and like other divisions. So it makes sense that I don't know why it would be an issue to ship it elsewhere, but I'm sure it has to do with region lock. So, you know, because at least maybe. Are things still region locked now? I know that used to be a thing. It's been so long since I've had a PlayStation.
I don't know. I mean, that's something that I thought about when we were in Japan, and I was like, oh, what if I get this Switch and then I can't play, you know, it's Japanese Switch. So what if the
region lock was a thing. So that would be my assumption, but I don't know if region lock has changed in years. But yeah, for the most part though, I think it's always a smart marketing ploy to have some scarcity and be like, oh, you might not, because that gets their brains going, and that gets them in that want to buy and the don't want to miss out, like that whole fear of missing out mentality, and the whole, like, we've seen console scarcity before. So I do think it is part marketing, but I also think it is part just in case we're making sure the people who really want it get it. And I think that's important, because you see like, look at what's happened with the Switches with COVID, how people have bought them up because they knew they were popular and just sold them for these exorbitant prices. And you've seen it with other releases of consoles. So I think it's part marketing, but also a nice gesture to fans. I really like it.
Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, the Wii had one of the best examples of shortages. I mean, I remember going to the store with my mom and brother and my sister who really wanted a Wii, and every Toys R Us we would go to, it was just sold out week after week after week. And then so yeah, I mean, it's no surprise that there would be this hasn't been like, this isn't going to be a new thing that's happened when releases of generations. Now, to play devil's advocate to you though, this and this is just, just to play devil's advocate, but this kind of sucks for people who are like kind of on the fence a little bit, or like maybe like, oh, Miles Morales looks real cool, like Ratchet and Clank, it's going to be a launch game. I actually really want to get a PlayStation. Like it's not necessarily like a slap to the face to them, but it's kind of like, oh, like, I guess I don't have a PS. I personally don't have a PS, like a PlayStation online account. Like, that kind of sucks that I'm going to have to wait for this. And what if the scarcity is real? And what if it is there? Then like, I might miss out on a PlayStation. Not that I personally am feeling like that, but that's just to play kind of devil's advocate to what, like, as a fan, as a Sony fan, that's great. But what about everybody else,
You gotta learn some patience. I don't know what else to say. Like, I mean, I think it's less fair for someone who is dedicated to the platform to miss an opportunity because someone just happened to be faster and happened to just sneak in there and then they're gonna buy it and it's gonna sit there and they're barely gonna touch it, when you have other people who will. Like, I think the easiest comparison that people would agree with and understand is Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
When you sell, like, right, because that's how they sell Comic-Con tickets. It's such a big and desired event, and there is no way they can fulfill the amount of people who want to go there and make it a safe event. Like, So they have their ticket lottery system. I mean, you have lotteries for all kinds of things too, if you think about it, when the supply and demand isn't there. But for Comic-Con, the people who have been going, the people who are dedicated, and the people who have supported that event, they get priority. And it sucks for the people who are like, well, I really want to go. But it also makes sense that these people have been there. They have been doing the support, and year after year, they're paying for that ticket. So they're given just that slight priority to get your tickets before it sells out. You have this, and that's the thing, as long as it's like a limited window of opportunity, here's your chance. And then you open it up to other people, and then it's all just a game of luck. But, if you're dedicated to something, I think that it always shows appreciation to the fans to give them, you've supported us, here's your opportunity before everyone else. I mean, you can say the same thing for like concert tickets and stuff. If you're a fan, like some concerts will do like the whole sign up for this pre-order, you get first access. Those tickets sell out quick. Even the Smith Center here in Vegas, the shows, if you are a premium or if you're on a certain program, you get a week access to tickets before they go on sale. And do you know how quick tickets sell? They sell out in that before the general public gets them. That's what happened to Hamilton. Yeah. So it's just like, it's not a weird concept to me. And I think it's a nice thing for them to do. And I think it sounds weird until you really put it into perspective how often this sort of thing actually does happen. And it's not like that the PS5 is never going to be accessible again. If it does sell out, you just have to have some patience and wait. It's not like a show, well, that sold out, I'm never going to get to go.
I guess the reason why I think this is so unique is because this is the first time a console has done it, right? Like you mentioned Comic-Con and you mentioned the Smith Center and like concerts and stuff. So yeah, that's all the norm, but I don't think we've ever seen this with a console. I guess that's why it's kind of really interesting. But yeah, I was only saying all that to play devil's advocate of stuff, but sure. I completely agree. Like I completely agree. It's definitely for the fans. It's very understandable that they would be the first to want to get in. It shows that exclusivity and it shows that like loyalty, right? Like you've been a hardcore fan, you're toxic as hell. Oh, but here you go.
He went there. Hot takes by Irving.
Ooh, spicy. But it totally makes sense. The other thing I did want to mention was that Sony was expecting to make 6 million units by March 2021. And during the summer, even in the middle of the pandemic, when we knew that, shortages might be happening, they came out and they said, actually, they want 10 million by the end of the year. And I don't know if they mean by this year or like they were going off of 2021 year.
I would think 2021.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, like imagine they're just like, you know what? Nah, 10 million this year. That'd be insane.
To be just really quick, because like I would imagine it has to be 2021 because too, I think they're actually going to get less sales than they would have had there not been a pandemic. So that seems pretty ambitious.
Or maybe they're expecting a lot of sales because of the pandemic.
Because people are stuck at home.
We've seen, we've seen a huge, number of interest and desire for a Nintendo Switch, and we're going to talk about a new one in a bit, but
you're right, we don't have much to do, we can't really leave the house.
Yeah, I mean, Switches were flying off the shelves, and like one of the biggest games, Animal Crossing, like that, like I can expect Animal Crossing to be a huge like Christmas present right here in the States, like just like Animal Crossing and a Switch, boom, you've got it. That's like a perfect bundle so video games
that's fair.
And have become more normal, really, if you think about it. Like more people who really aren't into video games, like they're starting to pick it up. Like, I mean, later on we'll have a guest, and that guest played video games as a child, kind of grew off of it, and during the pandemic started streaming.
You're right. All right, that's fair.
But again, this is just speculation as far as where this is all going. But
I was just thinking more, not because it's like, yes, now is the time to buy. I just think more like with people hurting for money is more what I meant. But it is fair. I think that will actually balance things out.
Yeah.
They'll kind of make up for the sales they wouldn't have had, and they'll kind of lose some sales they may have had. Like maybe it's more who is buying versus how much. You're right. You're right, though. You're absolutely right.
Oh, thank you. Speaking of the Switch, rumors have resurfaced about a new Pro Switch. This is in line with what's going on with consoles, the topic, but I just wanted to kind of touch on this because We've noticed that Nintendo has been oddly quiet. They've shown very mini directs almost, where they kind of just show games here and there and stuff of third-party developers. But I mean, the last game from Nintendo, I think, was Paper Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paper Mario. I mean, they had
in July, almost September.
Yeah. We know that this is the 30-year anniversary of Mario as well, and there was rumors of a Sunshine remake or like a 64 remake as well. So it's just kind of odd that they've just been pretty much radio silent and nothing is going to come out for the rest of the year. And now this is kind of explaining a little bit of it. It might explain some of it, right? If they're probably not going to launch this new Switch if it's real. They're probably not going to launch it this year because they're directly going to be competing with Microsoft and Sony. And that's not, they don't really like to do that.
Nintendo's always kind of had their own schedule, which is admirable.
Yeah. So I doubt it'll come out this year, but maybe beginning of the next year or middle of next year, depending on how the world, tends to, the rest of the year plans out. We might see another another Switch and another resurface in their games and their libraries and stuff. There's been the long, we already know Breath of the Wild 2 is in development, and we knew about that last year at E3. So, or I think it was the game show, regardless, but we know that it's been in the works. Maybe it'll launch and it'll be like, if you want to play the best version of it, play it on the new Switch, because to be fair, the new Switch, I mean, the current Switch right now isn't the most powerhouse of consoles really that Nintendo's ever done to begin with, but once you can compare it to even the current generation of like Xboxes and PlayStations,
it's weak sauce.
It's weak sauce. I mean, everyone sees The Witcher 3 on there and they're like,
oof,
why would you even play that?
Oof.
So, we recently just got our Switch, right? What do you think if we didn't get our Switch, would a beefed up, more powerful version of the Switch be enticing for you to be like, oh, I can play like, what if it can play like Cyberpunk or like big games, right? Like Overwatch or something. You can play it on the go. Like, would that be enticing to you? Or you just kind of like, nope, it's just a home console, even though it does both.
Yeah, no, for me, it's a home console. The difference always would be if we traveled a lot. If we were out of town 2 to 3 weekends out of the year, if we were on the go a lot, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Our summer home in Montana.
Yeah, summer home in Montana. No, but you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people who their jobs take them out of state a lot. Then yeah, absolutely. I see the appeal of a stronger one. But for me, ever since we got the Switch, even when we leave, I don't really use it. Like it's cool, but I don't really utilize that whole like taking it out and playing it on the go thing. And like in Vegas, it's just too hot to like, I want to have a picnic and I'm going to go and play my Switch. Like, no, if I'm going to go out, I'm probably going to be talking to you or have a friend. Like,
yeah,
it's just, it doesn't really, like, I would rather, if I'm going to play a game that's that intense and that deep, I'm just going to play it on my Xbox at home. But I do see the appeal, and the fact that it would be stronger for a very certain niche person, it makes sense. Like, I think the thing that you always have to go back to, and I always go back to this with Nintendo, is that they're a Japanese company, and the purpose and the reason they do things doesn't always translate here in America.
Very true.
Yeah, like they make these portable games, and this is portable for people with commutes who don't drive. I'm talking your businessman, your salaryman in Tokyo who has an hour-long train ride. That's who they have it for. Like when we were in Japan, we saw a guy on the DS who had he was on that train the whole time with us, and it was like a 45-minute train ride. That's the market this is for. And I know that there are people in America who kind of have similar things as well, but like I said, it's not as big of a necessity because most places in America, you drive a car. You can't drive your car and play your Switch. Like,
not unless you have a Tesla.
Yeah, unless you have a Tesla. But you know what I mean? So like, I see the appeal, but it's, I know I'm rambling at this point, but
no,
yeah.
You're good. No,
yeah,
I do agree. I think when I think about like hardcore games, like I think about Cyberpunk, I don't think I'm gonna be like, oh, I can't wait to play Cyberpunk when I'm overdrive, I don't know, because you never drive, but like on the way to my mom's house or like on the way to our friend's house. Like, no, if I want to play a game that big and like play games that require that much like power, I'm going to be here at home. I'm going to dedicate hours and, a section of time in order to play that. Like, I think it would be beneficial for a certain extent, but when I think of the Switch, I really only think about playing games that are exclusively for the Switch.
Same. That's my reason for having it, and that's what I would continue to play. We were on another 20-hour flight to Japan. Yeah. I still probably wouldn't pick up a big game. I would still probably play something more casual and watch movies to fill in time. A 6-hour drive to California. Again, listen to music. Like,
yeah. No, for sure. It's interesting that this is resurface. This rumor is resurfaced again because I mean we've heard about this more powerful Switch for quite a while now, and I think that when the Switch Lite was released, it was very head scratching because it was definitely not the direction that we thought.
It was the opposite.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though like I mean the 3DS is one of the most successful consoles they've ever sold, and like you said, it translates when you think of Japan and like the company,
the
like
demographic that they're going for.
It's exactly it. Like the amount of people that would play 3DS games on the commute, on the train in Japan at the time. Yeah, I mean, we saw just a bit of it. Like, but I can't even imagine during that time how popular that was. Right. So it's smart for them to be doing this Switch console. It's extremely smart for that audience for sure. And that's why the PS Vita 2 was so successful in Japan, but not here.
Again, it just goes into like your demographic. So like for an American, this is just it's a nice added bonus. That's really all the portability is. Or it's nice for the parent who needs to drive across town for 45 minutes and just wants their kid entertained so they're not screaming while they're driving across town. I think as an adult in a majority of metros and a majority of places, though, that portability doesn't really do much unless you, like I said, unless your job takes you for travel and then it just gives you some entertainment in a hotel room. Like I said, it's for Japan. In Japan, the marketing makes sense. In America, it is just that it's a bonus, and that's literally all it is, I think.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Now, I want to know what you guys think about what we talked about today. First of all, I want to ask what you guys think about a new Switch. Does it entice you being, maybe if you're here in America, do you think a more powerful version of the Switch, would you grasp onto that so you can play Breath of the Wild 2 and maybe 4K because we don't know anything else about it?
Yeah.
Or are you content with your current Switch right now? Let me know in the comments below, as well as your theories or opinions on why we haven't seen a console.
Where are they?
A release date or a price on it. And will you be picking up a PlayStation 5? Are you a hardcore PlayStation fan? Sorry, not toxic. But are you excited about this campaign? Do you think that we kind of nailed it? Yeah, like hit it right on the nail as far as
wow,
something.
Hit the nail on the head, Muffin.
Hit the nail on the head with.
You guys get the point.
Yeah, with this being kind of a thank you to the PlayStation fan or community. Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, we'll talk in the comments. Welcome back. Now, joining us today for making his debut on Power On Weekly is the one and only Jozie from Dammit Jozie Gaming. Jozie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. It's pretty awesome being here.
Yeah. Obviously, Josie's my brother.
Yeah. We look alike.
If you couldn't tell. But yeah, I brought you on to Power On Weekly this episode because you stream Call of Duty all the time, and I figured why not ask the Call of Duty streamer what his opinions on Black Ops Cold War, the reveal that happened. Not only are you a streamer of Call of Duty, but you also you played the event. So I was at work. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I want to know your opinions on it. But before we get to that, I obviously have to go with I have to ask you a question. Anytime I bring on a new guest, I'm going to ask the same question. So for you, Jozie, if you could erase any video game from your memory to relive again and to re-experience, what game would that be?
Yeah, the biggest game that comes to mind is Assassin's Creed. It was I was never big into role playing games, and technically it's like half role playing, but never really got into Final Fantasy. I know, shocker, right? So that really changed my mindset on RPG games, and it took me into a new world and a new immersion of video games. And the original Assassin's Creed, yeah, it had its bugs, but man, it was great. And it led me to like I've seen streamers play Ghost of Tsushima, and it was awesome. Like watching them, I'm like, oh my god, this is like a samurai version of Assassin's Creed. I need to get a PlayStation, but I'm not going
to. No, he's not going to. Yeah, no. That's a great choice. I think a lot of people would say that Assassin's Creed kind of almost reinvented. It made its own genre, really. Yeah. Like there were stealth action games before, but not to the extent of that.
Right.
And I think what's super interesting about that game as well is that it's so heavily focused on like history as well, where it kind of like takes history and tweaks it a little bit. So it's almost believable. You're like, you know what, that may could have happened.
Which kind of ties into the Cold War event. You know, like it's taking. I mean, man, what's the president?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Yeah. Yes, there we go. I knew it started with an R. Reagan is one of the main characters in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty much in the whole trailer, and it's like, man, they're taking history and they're trying to rewrite it, or like, and it just kind of immerses you into a brand new maybe history.
Yeah, definitely. Know? I think Call of Duty the Black Ops series in general, like the original Black Ops I think they did that really well as well, like how they did Assassin's Creed, and they take parts of history and they kind of tweak it. Similar like I know this is super off topic, but like X-Men First Class, they also it also took place during the Cold War, and they twisted it a little bit of how like the Cuban Missile Crisis, but it was like because of the X-Men.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting way of like storytelling,
and like Wolverine being like a soldier back in the war, and like I get 100%, dude.
So let's talk about the event. So Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War was finally unveiled. We've known about this game for a while. I mean, there was even a leak from Doritos.
Yeah.
Doritos double XP leak that was happening, and so we've known about this for a while, but finally it was revealed during Call of Duty's first like event, similar to like Fortnite and stuff like that. Really interesting. During their Verdansk, you had to play a certain playlist, know your history. Jozie, what you got to experience it, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I honestly, like, it was the first time I never played Fortnite, so it was the first time I was actually part of an event like this. So for me, it was like, okay, cool. They're taking me into a brand new world. I'm doing this contract, or a set of contracts, and it was very immersive. I will say it would have been way better if I've done it with like my normal teammate or my squads that I do it with, because then we can communicate. A lot of the times, like the 2 times that I did play, unfortunately, I was playing with people that didn't have mics or headsets, and it was like we had to ping everything and like, guys, we got to go here, and it was just a little bit more difficult to do it. But the fact that like, okay, we read the contract, we got to kill 5 people, get 5 maps, go here. Okay, cool. Once that's done, we've got another contract to do. It made it so easy in the way, because it was very familiar to Warzone itself. You know, you're collecting contracts, you're doing bounties, you're doing all of this. So that itself was already very easy and very familiar. So they tied that in and they added all of this extra stuff. And it was fun to play. You got a blueprint that maybe people don't like. It's the SKS blueprint, but I mean, free guns in this game are always going to be a good plus. You got a really cool calling card. You got to see a sneak preview of what Woods is going to look like in Call of Duty Black Ops or Cold War. And I mean, it was fun to play. The fact that we had to run to stadium right afterwards, that was like, like another edge of your seat. Like, oh my God, am I going to make the gas? Like the second time I played it, I didn't make the gas. So, but it really put you in a position to feel the game itself, which was great. You know?
No, yeah, I was working, but I was taking a photo of a house that was empty. Nobody was there. So I had to stream up. And I was watching Stone Mountain, I think it was, and he was doing that. He made it to the end, and I think it was also cool because it was glitching too. Like
Yeah.
you saw like the flashes and
Yeah.
stuff. Very very reminiscent of the original Black Ops. And yeah, you got to the stadium, and then you saw the trailer, and the trailer was really
Man,
good.
the trailer, like, it still gives me goosebumps. Like, you can see right now, it still was like, okay, we made it to the stadium, and now like they're talking on TV. Like, you see the scientist, and he's like, going over everything, and you're just like a kid in a candy store looking at everything going on, and then you see choppers flying over, you see dune buggies going in through for the
Yeah.
multiplayer stuff.
the end,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was very well done, and the only people that are gonna hate on it are people that just hate,
Yeah,
in general.
another Call of Duty. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think the marketing for this has been interesting because this is the longest we've gone without knowing the next Call of Duty. Like usually Call of Duty gets announced during E3, which is like June. So it's been a long time coming. I mean, we're like 2 months away from it being released, and I think with everything going on in the world, that's probably why, right? Because it's just that. But even the marketing, like the very first Know Your History like teaser that they did, it was very like spooky, like really creepy. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, like this was an actual interview showing like real life events, and
Yeah.
you're just like it's just really scary to think about, like in general. So I think that was a really cool direction, and this is a continuation, a direct sequel to the original Black Ops.
Yeah, which you and I both enjoyed. The last video that we did together was Black Ops 2, and like, I mean, well, obviously we play Call of Duty a lot, and we've always been fans of shooting games, but I think it's just like the continuation of stories is something that our generation might be used to, because we love like the continuation of movies. Like, how many times do we continue to go see Star Wars, and people are gonna hate on the new ones, but like we still love going to see them. So feeling something familiar and something new is always gonna be a really good thing.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Call of Duty. Black Ops, the series in general, I think Black Ops 1 and 2 had incredible stories. So I only have high hopes for this. I mean, it's also, if we go down the details that we have, it's being developed by Raven Software and Treyarch. Now Call of Duty has traditionally been on a 3-year life cycle, or a year life cycle, with 3 different developers, which is Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer. There was some drama going on with Sledgehammer this year, with Activision in general, and they told them, hey, how about you take a break for this year? And they kind of handed the reins over to Treyarch, and in the middle of a pandemic as well. I think that would have been that's really difficult to do on your own. Just like you have a year to develop a Call of Duty, when usually they take about 2 or 3. But with the help of Raven Software, I think they're going to be able to do something really good. And yeah, continuing off the original Black Ops story, I think that's probably the best direction that they could have gone. Yeah. Now this game is coming out November 13th for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, PS5, also PC. They're selling a cross-gen version for $70. We've talked about this before on the podcast, but like the fact that prices are kind of going up a little bit on games is interesting. I do find it interesting though, because I know that Xbox has smart delivery, which is if you buy a game on Xbox One, you'll be able to play the Series X version. Right. But that's also it also depends on the developer. So, Activision is Activision. They want their money, so they're obviously going to charge you more.
Yeah. I did hear, though, that the Series X and the PS5 versions are still, I mean, obviously the release date for the game itself is the 13th, but if those consoles aren't released before that date, then when they do get released, that's going to be like a launch special, maybe. That's something that I've heard. So maybe keep an eye out for that. If you're looking to upgrade your console, they might be launch specials.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, around like November, you've got your Black Friday deals and everything like that. I can't imagine these consoles being released later than this date, though, especially because we've seen other games that are also hitting the November 13th window, like they're releasing their games on there, and it also says Series X and PlayStation 5. So I mean, I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. I think the Xbox is going to release either November 7th, 6th is what people are speculating now, because that's a Friday. And even though November 13th is on a Friday, and that's, you know, the Friday the 13th,
Friday 13th.
who knows? Like PlayStation 5 might just be like, yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
We're not superstitious. We'll release our PlayStation 5 on there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. You know, with that being said, though, with all these releases on these two consoles, it's also the first game that's cross-gen. We've seen more cross-play here and there, especially with Activision.
Yeah.
You know, but cross-gen is really interesting.
Dude, I think the whole cross-platform, and this is like coming from someone who like started gaming at a young age and then took a little bit of a break, but then came right back into it. And like, I think the fact that like we're getting into the cross-gen, cross-platform gaming is amazing, because I have a preference. I'm not like a huge, like, I'm not gonna be an Xbox fan and be like, oh, you have a PlayStation, you suck, you know. Like I just feel more comfortable with the Xbox controller, with the Xbox system. Just like when we photograph, you have a Canon, I have a Nikon. I feel more comfortable with my Nikon.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a comfortable thing. But the fact that I can still play with my friends who are on a different platform, that is like mind blowing. You know, it's awesome. And like, and it's made it to where I've made more friends in the community because of it, you know, and it's just bringing more people together, which is awesome. Which I think games should do. You know, it's, you know, playing online. Back when we were, you know, in the Darken clan, playing Gears of War, you know, we met so many people offline, and like, it's like, man, it was always a good time bringing people together through games. So I think it's a great thing. And the other thing too, like, especially during this pandemic, not everyone's gonna have the extra cash to, you know, fork down and pay whatever the new cross-gen's gonna, or the new console's gonna be. You know, I know for sure I might not get it on release, maybe a year afterwards, cool. But the fact that I can still play the game and play it with people that have the X, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I mean, like we've talked, you know, Aly and I have talked about it before, as far as like Xbox's approach to it. They're pretty much like, we just want you to play wherever you want to play, either PC, Xbox One, or Series X. You'll be able to play together. Yeah, on xCloud, yeah. So yeah, I think, you know, with these things, it's all up to the developers. So Activision has been very on top of it. I mean, even with this generation, you play on Xbox, I play on PC. You know, like it is great, and I do agree that this needs to be the norm, and I feel like it will be the norm more and more, because more companies are doing it. And if you're a company that's not doing cross-gen or cross-play,
you're gonna get lost in the bundle.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
and you're gonna look down on.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to like having a good just a business mindset. It goes back to if you're not following the trend, you're gonna get lost in the end, and you're gonna end up failing. You know, I've been watching the High Score series on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, definitely check it out. And a lot of the issues that a lot of the people in the gaming industry had was like, they were getting so stuck in the past, they didn't look towards the future, and games just fell apart, you know. So
that is it's funny you bring that up. That is something that I don't know, Aly and I are trying to figure out a way to how to like kind of talk about High Scores, because we think it's a really interesting show. So we'll figure out a way to like talk about it. But yeah, definitely check it out. They're going back to Call of Duty now. It's a direct sequel to Black Ops, the original Black Ops. So we're gonna see characters like Alex Woods, Frank Mason, and Jason Hudson returning back, right? Yeah. We also have, like you said, Ronald Reagan,
right?
The Ronald Reagan,
and
a new character, Russell Adler. Okay, and I don't know if you've kind of looked, you know, we watch the trailer, you get all hyped about it and all that stuff, but like, the whole premise of this game is to hunt down a real life, you know, Soviet undercover operator named codenamed Perseus, right? And to this day, he's never been found. So again, it goes back into like, you know, kind of playing with history a little bit and doing their own take on it. Now, I'm gonna say it right here and now. I think Russell Adler, he's Perseus. He is like an agent for the U.S. and he's, you know, he's like Black Ops as well. Like he does some like covert like stuff as well. And I think it's really interesting that he just kind of comes out of nowhere, especially when we have the original cast.
Right.
and then he's the only person who's been in contact or who has seen Perseus, and
Right.
he knows he's real.
Playing that double side agent.
I think the Perseus, the traditional looking Russian guy that we see, that like, oh, this is him, like that's just like a cover.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna, like, it might spoil it, I don't know, but like I think in the end the twist is gonna be that he's Perseus.
Yeah.
I just find it early. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're not the only one who's gonna think that. Like,
Okay.
if you follow the series, like, you're not. If you like to solve mysteries or solve anything, which I know you love, so your mind already is gonna go into that turn wheel. And if you follow the series, you're gonna come to that conclusion, I'm sure. But I mean, maybe they did it to fool us, and they're like, oh, they're gonna think this is the way, and then, but it's gonna be exciting to find out regardless.
I only think that because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, am I crazy? Am I the only one who thinks he's actually Perseus?
Yeah.
But regardless, that's just my opinion. Branching story paths is something that's also returning from here. This was a feature in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. When it first was announced, people were like, that's weird. Like, you get to choose what's in. Like, that's not gonna do anything. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is my favorite Call of Duty. I don't know, the new Modern Warfare story is really good too. But this one was really good because your choices actually mattered. And if you know me, you know I love Mass Effect.
I was gonna say, I was like, dude, the reason why is because you love Mass Effect, you love Fallen Order. The choices, games like that, the choices that you make impact the rest of your gameplay. And this is why you.
That's exactly why,
Yeah.
and that's why I feel like Black Ops 2's story is so underrated because of that specifically. Like, you think like, oh, it'll just change like one or two things. It drastically changes the game. If you have not played Black Ops 2, please go play the campaign. It's so good, and I'm really happy to see this return because they've obviously done it before. They've done a really good job with it. So I'm just excited to see how far they kind of push it, or even I'm sure they'll do even better than Black Ops 2. But yeah, we'll see. Now, as far as Warzone goes, Warzone is the connecting factor
Yes.
between both games, and everything that you've unlocked currently so far, all that hard-earned money that you spent, those COD points, all that is being transferred over.
Yeah.
You'll be able to play that, and anything you get in Black Ops 2, a Cold War, you'll be able, it'll transfer over.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, right?
I think it's gonna be great. I'm excited to see where they take Warzone, because obviously everybody knows there's bugs up the yin yang in Warzone. Like, every once in a while they'll fix something, then something else is broken, and like, I'm excited to see where they go from that. But also the map, like, I like the small changes that they've made, but I'd like to explore more. I feel like the map has gotten small with so many people being in the game now, with the quads, the lobbies filling up, and like, I feel like we need more to explore. And maybe that's the next thing that's coming on the 13th, because there's gonna be another update and season 6 is coming out around that time. Maybe that's what's coming up next. Maybe that's what they're working on, and I'm hoping. But I feel like if Cold War takes over obviously they're gonna take over for Warzone. I feel like they definitely gotta bring something to the map.
Yeah. So that's since Warzone has started, and since we've seen the progression and the popularity has gotten, like, we've kind of like drawn parallels to like how Fortnite has done it, where they also started small and then it just got blasted, and now their whole map is completely different than what the original was, and they don't add maps, right? So you have like games like Apex, who rotates between two different maps. They just have a map and it just changes. Maybe one day there's a giant obelisk orb in the middle. Another day, like, the lake is dried up. Another series, season, it's this. So I could definitely see, Warzone doing something similar to that. Yeah. There's been rumors of the dam blowing up for like the longest time.
Or instead of it being winter, the dam is flowing. Like, there's been all those rumors. And I think that would be a great addition, because right now it's very, what you're getting into. Yeah. So it's very predictable. Yeah. And if you know the map, and then you're like, oh man, is it going to be snowing? Is it going to be the river flowing? Is like something big that changes dramatically, and like how you're going to work around that, how your squad's going to work around that, that's going to be huge. Just that small change.
I mean, we've already seen kind of like a small change with the stadium being opened up and train station opened up. So we know that there's small changes happening here and there. But yeah, I agree. Like I think it'll only get better from here. I think they're just trying to like learn from the mistakes and learn from whatever, and then build upon that. So I have high hopes for it as well. Now Zombies is returning to Call of Duty Black Ops. Call of Duty World at War was the first game that introduced the zombies mode. It has a very hardcore like cult following to it.
Oh yeah.
We've played it a couple times. I think it's fun. It's good times here and
Yeah.
there, but I don't think we're as big as
No.
Yeah.
So I've got a friend who like has legitimately like he gives up his day to play zombies, but like he's got the time for it. So like and he sent me a screenshot the other day, and he like I don't know how many waves of zombies he killed, but like there is one niche, and it might be bigger than we think, but like I was never a huge fan of zombies. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Maybe it'll get me into that niche a little bit, but it'd be also like like the rumor that I heard was like Warzone zombies, where like it's kind of like infected, like in Halo, where like you're playing a big match and one zombie starts, then more zombies come out. That'd be cool.
I definitely see that for specifically for Cold War, that they would do that for when they take over Warzone, basically. Yeah. The only other question I have is, each studio, when it comes to Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer, they had very their games feel different, right? If you play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, those all feel pretty similar, right? If you play Black Ops 1, 2, 1 and 2, and 3, like those feel similar as well. But if you compare like Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 2, they do not feel the same.
No, not at all.
So my question is, I love the way the new Call of Duty feels. Yes. Modern Warfare feels so good. I love the gunplay. I love the reloads. The attention to detail is so good.
Precise.
That I hope that they're literally just taking the same engine and like using the same thing, and not like it's going to be the Call of Duty Black Ops. Yeah. Because Black Ops 4, if you go from 4 right now and you play their Battle Royale Blackout and you go to Warzone, it's not the same, and you're...
And I had the exact same thought. It's funny that you bring it up, because I was like, literally on the drive over here, I was like, man, I'm really hoping like the feeling of the game stays the same, because that's just gonna kill it for me. Yeah. Like I like you said, the attention to detail, the way you reload, the fact that every gun has a different style of reload, because every gun doesn't reload the same in real life, But I've seen Blackout play multiplayer matches, and I'm not a fan. It feels like I'm playing mobile.
Yeah,
it
is mobile, right? That's why.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, if I can play that on my phone, why do I need to buy it on an Xbox?
Yeah,
and so I don't want that to go away. The realism is enough to where it's not like, I wasn't a huge fan of Battlefield. I know liked Battlefield, but the realism took it overboard to where it was like, okay, it's kind of boring. But this is enough realism, but enough like video game style. So I think if they take that away, I'm like, I might just go back to Warzone.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I don't, and that's why I had this question, right, where it's like if it plays differently than what I've been used to playing right now, because I mean, I mentioned it last episode, but like this recent Call of Duty has really reinvigorated my like and my enjoyment of Call of Duty. Yeah. So I'd hate for it to like, nah, and that's the thing, because like I do love Black Ops, and I think the Black Ops series is great, and it plays all Call of Duties feel great, right? Yeah. All of the Call of Duties feel great, and they always do, but it's just having that disconnect, and if it's somewhat different, I might have kind of like like it might be a little jarring.
I agree, because I mean, during the pandemic, this is when I came back into the gaming world. Like you were like, yeah, new Warzone's coming out, it's free to play. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's free. I don't have to worry about spending anything right now, which is a great time. So like it got me hooked, and if like that small factor changes, it might not get me hooked. Like I'm not super picky on games, but we all like what we like.
No, for sure. Yeah, but that's basically it. Before we end though, where can people find you?
So my main streaming page is on Facebook Gaming, Dammit Jozie Gaming. And then you can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Twitter's the only one that doesn't let me use my full, so it's DammitJozie G. And then Instagram handle is the same thing, DammitJozie_gaming. So that's where you can find me.
Sweet. And we will have all those things in the link down in the comments below. I mean, in the description. But speaking of comments below, I want to know what you guys think. What are your opinions on the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War event? I want to know specifically what you thought about the event compared to other events like Fortnite and everything like that. Are you excited for Call of Duty? Are you over Call of Duty? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And we'll be back with some more Power On Weekly. I want to say once again, thank you to Jozie from Dammit Jozie Gaming for joining us on his first ever podcast. I really enjoyed talking to him, and I think he made some good points as far as our thoughts on Call of Duty was. Yeah. Now Aly has some explaining to do.
Got some explaining to do. Yeah, no. Sorry for no question of the week. We're not going to talk to the community this week. My bad. I don't know what happened. It's just all of a sudden it was Saturday night, and I looked at Irving and I said, "Oh, it's Saturday," and I didn't put out a question of the week. So my bad. I mean, honestly, I can't even keep track of the days half the time anymore because I don't leave this house anymore. So that was my bad. So I'll make sure to get out question of the week this week. So just sorry.
Yeah. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us on Power On Weekly. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Be safe out there, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.